right, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining our session, and I hope you're having a great conference. Got the tech going right now, so it's good. So our session today is about data silos, how to move from data silos to information hub. And unless you've been working on a greenfield implementation of the Lakehouse, this is going to be a good session for you. The goal of every data strategy is to enable that, to actually turn it into an information hub where you can scale analytics and AI and fuel growth. My name is Moaz Hassan. I'm the Chief Data Officer for Royal Caribbean Group. I have been enrolled for 5 years. As you know, this is like dog years in CDO tenure. Before that, I've held similar roles in financial industry and in consulting. Pleased to be with you, and with my friend here, Hugh Bergen.
Yeah, thank you all for coming. Appreciate it. So we have, I'm Hugh Bergen, so I have two roles. I lead our AI and data analytics practice in the US for EY, and I'm also our alliance leader for EY and Databricks. So we'll talk about that a little bit as well. So I spend a lot of my time thinking about Databricks and thinking about Royal Caribbean. We have quite a few discussion topics here. We'll talk a little bit about the background on Royal Caribbean. Moaz will talk about the size and the scale and the complexities of Royal Caribbean. We'll talk about our relationship with Databricks and with Royal Caribbean. We're going to talk about the complexities of federated data or disparate data throughout Royal Caribbean and all the different brands and all the different personas that are out there. We'll also talk about the why Databricks is key. Why is Databricks, such a perfect fit for the needs of the information hub? And then Moaz will talk about some of the lessons learned. So as he's been here for 5 or 6 years doing this job, seeing this journey, what are the lessons learned from that? And just to give you a little bit of a preview, today, Royal Caribbean has about a petabyte of data on the cloud, leveraging Databricks. And so it's a mature implementation with a lot of value, a lot of use cases, a lot of users. But there's also about half of a petabyte of data sitting in legacy on-premise data warehouses. And so there's a big opportunity for modernization and migration. And we'll talk about how we're using generative AI and other accelerators with Databricks to migrate and modernize the remaining part of the data warehouse. If we have time, we'll answer questions. We'll see how we go.
All right, so for those of you who are not familiar with Royal Caribbean Group, it is the #1 cruise company in the world. We pride ourselves in being able to deliver amazing vacations, amazing memories for over 8 million people annually. And with 65 ships and growing, soon to be 70, over 1,000 destinations, we have over 100,000 people across 3 brands and 2 joint ventures. And as Hugh mentioned, with a petabyte of data already in the Lakehouse, we're embarked on this journey to move from a vacation of a lifetime to a lifetime of vacations. So that's what we're trying to do, and we've partnered with EY for a long time. They're executing some of our key initiatives. They're actually driving this strategy and getting us to a mature state of data. Sorry, this thing is not working. All right.
So Royal Caribbean and EY, just real briefly, we've been working together for 20 years. Royal Caribbean is the travel industry leader, the growth industry, and the growth company in the cruise industry for many years. We've been really focused on helping to enable innovation and accelerate time to market for new digital capabilities, new AI capabilities. You can actually see a joint brand campaign that we did a few years ago talking about the new experiences available through digital for people on a cruise ship. Actually, a few years ago, these commercials were on CNBC and other news channels talking about our brand jointly. Innovation has been implemented when you check in for the cruise, when you're on the cruise, when you're purchasing things on the digital app. And we'll talk the rest of today about the data and AI journey. So EY and Databricks have an alliance, and companies are using Databricks to transform their business, transform their ability to generate insights with AI and analytics. And our focus and our value proposition is that transformation doesn't happen just in the IT department. It happens at the intersection of IT and the business units, the marketing, the finance, the supply chain, et cetera. So we're trying to bring both the technology depth and the business depth to really transform. And you'll see in the examples here today that Databricks is really the perfect fit for this journey that Royal Caribbean is on, whether it's accelerating the ability to modernize on the cloud with generative AI, doing it faster with generative AI, or deploying AI and machine learning models. Moez will share some examples of that as well. So, as I mentioned, Databricks is a perfect fit for Royal Caribbean. It's simple, it's scalable, it's open, it's multi-cloud, all of the things you're looking for.
Right.
I'll let you talk about it more.
Yeah, absolutely. So the core principles of Databricks, as you mentioned, being simple, being multi-cloud, and being open, align very well with our philosophy, our vision, our strategy. We've always wanted to build a solution that is easy to adopt by all of the personas across the enterprise, from data scientists to data analysts to data engineers. We wanted to reduce vendor lock-in. So, as much as we can, it is an open environment, an open format. And we also wanted to be as cloud agnostic as possible. And so those core principles truly align with what we are set out to achieve. And the simplicity is really key. As they say, simplicity is the greatest sophistication. So that's what we really set out to do. That platform has enabled us to do so much for the enterprise. Primarily, we've been able to not only deploy machine learning models that have demonstrable value, but also scale it across our brands and across the functions in the enterprise. It's also allowed us to increase productivity of developers. And we have also been able to essentially tackle the democratization of data to a large extent. There's always room for improvement. We're working on it, but we have been able to truly democratize access for Unity Catalog and tools like that. So, most companies, unless you're a startup, most companies have a lot of complexity. Most companies that have been around for decades have gone through a number of transformations and so on that's contributed to a lot of that complexity. In our case, that complexity has grown over the last 50 years, primarily because of organic growth. We went from 4 ships, $400 million in revenue, to now $40 billion in market cap. 65 ships, as you've seen. So that contributed to the complexity that we have. It's not different from any other company in the same size. In addition to that, customer expectations also contributed to the complexity. Customer behavior has also contributed to it. A lot of modernization efforts that has taken place in the last decades have also contributed to it. All of these initiatives rightfully try to build full stack and be independent as possible to deliver on the promised goals of the platform, but that adds to the complexity. And just by the nature of being a company of multiple brands, you have a number of processes and competing processes in some cases, and complexity. All of that has created a truly fragmented data and AI environment with multiple data warehouses and data repositories, data across the multiple platforms, multiple clouds, competing technologies are in that. So at the core of this is fragmentation, and this is what we have set out to compete with. We continue to build business solutions and leverage analytics and AI, but we have to fix the foundation. That has been our guiding principle from the beginning. If you can go to the next slide. And so that fragmentation, being the enemy essentially, has caused a number of issues, of challenges for us. First and foremost is hinders our speed to market with business solutions. Every MLAI business solution becomes a data project. We have to fetch the data, cleanse it. You all know the story. It also had prohibited us from adopting new technologies and new processes, because every modernization project, again, has to deal with the fragmentation of the data and how it's federated and how you have to deal with and so on. It certainly impacted our ability to respond to compliance and privacy regulations over the years. And last but not least, it actually contributed to our ability or lack of ability to expand solutions across brands. Every solution was built for a specific brand, for the most part, not all of them, for a specific brand, and to actually scale it to go and be used for the other brand, and the other brand was a bigger effort. But there is that actually ends up becoming the catalyst, becoming the drivers, or those things became the drivers for change. It had shed the light and have a lot of urgency behind them, so that now we have embarked on this journey to unify our data ecosystem. So we've developed this vision from data silos to information hub. An information hub that is capable of processing and fulfilling a lot of use cases across the spectrum, as many as possible. There's always exceptions, but the goal is to have this analytics and AI platform where we can store and process IoT data from the engines, structured data about our customer supply chain reservation system. Also, it's where we test and deploy models. It is where we share data, acting as a broker for the organization in real time, in batch, in micro batch. It needs to be 100% on the cloud to leverage all the capabilities on the cloud and reduce our total cost of ownership and allow us to basically scale without being bogged down with administration and so on and so forth. We also needed it to be, we needed to ensure that we are able to govern, master our core entities, apply our enterprise data policy in one place. We also needed it to be a consistent technology stack. As I mentioned, simplicity is the ultimate sophistication. So we wanted to reduce our technology stack. We wanted to reduce vendors as well. We wanted to be able to have accountability, or one or two vendors with accountability on the success of our platform and our technology. As I mentioned earlier, EY has played a pivotal role, and they're actually executing, I would say, some of the key initiatives that are contributing to that. Go to the next one. So to realize that vision, our strategy started at the foundation, unifying data and analytics, governance, and management, both on the data side and the analytics side, governance and management of the platform. And that helps truly unite the enterprise. That removes that fragmentation and allow us to be AI ready. You've heard the phrase, everybody's ready for AI except the data. It's true. And so the goal was to be AI ready, and that we can do the basic things that we do all the time, which like timely business insight, even better. But we also wanted to personalize the guest experience, both shoreside and shipboard, before, during, and after the cruise. And we are well in our way with a lot of initiatives that are actually targeting that specifically. We also wanted to optimize and automate business processes. We didn't want our analytics to be just a back office thing that you do, but actually integrated in the fabric and the ecosystem and driving efficiency in all of our functions. And we'll speak about a few examples later on. And the end result is to be able to do AI at scale, meaning that it's not limited to marketing, it's not limited to revenue management. It's done across the organization. It's also done across brands, meaning capable of being transferable from one brand to another. That is not really purpose fit for just one brand. And all of that is possible primarily because we have reusable, shareable, and I'd like to call them non-perishable data assets. It's not a data asset that you build once, use for one use case, and you're done. Something that is a data product that we continue to nurture and continue to enhance over time.
Okay, so we will talk a little bit about some of the services from Databricks that we are using or Royal Caribbean is using today. And the first thing I would say is the number of personas that are consuming data and insights from this platform are broad and significant. And it ranges from financial reporting, revenue management, to marketing, to supply chain and operations. There are analytics dashboards. There are data feeds to third parties. there are machine learning use cases around pricing and generative AI, and Moaz will talk about a few examples of that. But Lakehouse architecture has been critical to that because there is that breadth of persona. This is not a reporting opportunity. This is a data intelligence, data insight generation opportunity. And we need to be able to have the flexibility of Delta Lake, the value of the data warehouse, the value of the data lake together. And that has been critical to unlocking all of the wide-ranging use cases that are out there. We're also using Lakehouse Federation. There are a number of data models, third-party data models, other frameworks that are out there that need to be accessed using the Lakehouse Federation architecture. And that's actually been implemented and has been working really well as we look to modernize, for example, the revenue booking process and so forth, and all of the reporting and all of the data that comes out of that engine. And we'll talk about generative AI use cases in a moment. I don't know if you want to comment on that.
Yeah, I want to add a few things. I think in summary, in alignment with the vision that we've had, a simple, sort of concise technology stack, this is how we are using Databricks today. As you mentioned, the Lakehouse is enabling us to just be able to process there's IoT data coming from the engines that we're unable to deal with our legacy systems. And so it's been able to enable us to process all types of data. In real time, in batch and microbatch, you see Apache, Kafka there, you see Delta Life tables. All of that is in implementation. And then the machine learning part, with conventional AI, we've built a lot of use cases and business solution with that, and it's been great, and now expanding it so that we can manage our generative AI solutions, being built within Databricks or outside of Databricks, being managed within Mosaic, and that's great. That's gonna allow us to do a lot more. And as I mentioned, in this day and age, you can't really separate your data analytics environment from the rest of the ecosystem. One way to truly make it as powerful and as important for the company is to own the data sharing, both internal and external. And so with Delta sharing, with even the data marketplace, even if you're not selling it externally, you can have a data marketplace internally and leverage that. We're in the midst of actually implementing that as well. And so the point again is that with the data intelligence platform, one gets as close as possible to having a lot of those components there. You still need additional components around your mastering of the data, maybe, or in your governance, but this is the core, essentially the heartbeat of the operation. Okay. So with that, I wanted to highlight just some tangible examples of how we're leveraging the platform to generate business value. And so via ML and AI. And so one of the most successful use cases that we've had in our organization revolves around optimizing our pricing, an intelligent pricing automation system. This is an engine that allows us to set the prices across the brands automatically. And it's really, the power of it is that it's done in a way that is otherwise not feasible. We're setting tens of millions of pricing points at a given time. It's happening all the time. It's running, it's setting the prices, reacting to everything that's happening around us. So that has generated demonstrable, substantial amount of value, great uplift on our revenue. And so it's been a great success. And it's only possible because of, the platform and the performance capabilities that we have, but also because of the data products that we built on top of it. And I want to emphasize that that the platform alone is not going to help unless it's not going to work unless you invest the time in setting the data products in a way that enables the analytics and AI solutions. One other area where we were able to expand analytics and AI solutions is really on reducing cost, optimizing and automating business processes like fuel consumption via our engine data and looking at correlation between behavior on the ship and spikes in fuel consumption. Being able to predict when to buy what. As you can imagine, we buy all types of products, from spoons to towels and everything in between. So it has worked. It has actually helped quite a bit in reducing cost and allowing us to be more efficient and more effective. There's a number of examples, and I think we also called out reducing food waste. As you can imagine, there's a lot of spend on food. There's a lot of waste that happens also, and we're now predicting how much food to cook and when, based on demographics and based on itineraries and so on and so forth, all enabled by the platform, and again, to emphasize the data products that come with the platform. This is really key. Every good presentation these days have to talk about generative AI a little bit, so we'll talk about that and how the platform is enabling us to essentially take advantage of this very powerful technology. We're using it in multiple ways for guest experience, facilitating itinerary search. We're also using it in software development and reducing costs. We have embarked on huge transformation projects across the organization, and we're handling a lot of, as you just heard, migrations from on-premises to the cloud. And so we've used it and used it very effectively to help with software development and have seen a lot of value in actually reducing the amount of work and time that it takes to execute those. So Hugh is gonna speak to you about how we're using generative AI in software development and to increase productivity.
Thank you, Moaz. So one of the large transformation programs that Moaz mentioned is around revenue management, the booking process, and all of the insights and the analytics that people want off of that reservation and booking data. And so one of the key questions, and I mentioned at the beginning on the agenda that there's already a petabyte of data on the cloud with Databricks. There's almost a half a petabyte that's still on legacy on-premise data warehouse. And so the question is, how do we modernize, how do we migrate in an effective and efficient way? How do we get that data into a more consumable, cloud scalable state without taking 17 years to do it, and or 2 years to do it. One of the ways we've been focusing on for that is leveraging generative AI to accelerate the software development lifecycle. And one of the common use cases that you hear about, because it's often native in a lot of software development tools, is around code conversion, around code reusability. And that's certainly out there, but one of the, or several of the use cases that we've focused on are more around the intersection between, or interaction between, the business stakeholder or the tester from the business and the developer who's writing the code. And so there's a couple of use cases there. One is around data lineage. So how do you tap into generative AI to analyze SQL code, to understand where did this data come from, what's the lineage of that data? And that's one of the use cases that's been implemented. Another one is code understanding. So a business user, someone who looks at reports, maybe they create reports, they don't necessarily know Spark or PySpark or Python, and they benefit from being able to get summaries of code in natural language context, because that actually is a big consumer of time and energy, is explaining what the code is doing, explaining where the data came from that this code is accessing. And there's a real opportunity to drive efficiency in that through generative AI. And so depending on which step you're in the process, we're seeing anywhere from 10% to 50% efficiency gain by leveraging AI in the actual data modernization and migration process. And that's been a differentiator, and I think we are actually starting to see even more benefits of that going forward. Okay, I'm going to go to the next page, and let's talk about lessons learned. And Moaz, you've been on this journey.
Yes.
6 years ago when you started, none of this existed.
It's true. It's true.
Business users were skeptical. Business users were unsure if this would work, right? Like, why move my cheese? Why make me do something different? Why should I move to the cloud?
Yeah.
And you've driven real change with the business, and I think it would be great to hear your lessons learned from that.
No, absolutely. And we spoke about the platform and the importance of the technology, but it's only one piece. I mean, it has to be a cohesive data strategy, and that's what we actually established, and that's what we've been executing on. That's inclusive of data governance, for example. Data quality and master data management is key if you need it. Not saying one size fits all. Things like COEs around BI, around AI, and now we're looking at COE around generative AI as well. And again, building these enterprise data products, they're shareable and enterprise and non-perishable, are really key. And it has to be in a structured way. So you have to understand the business and have a comprehensive strategy that caters to that business, and it's not just one size fits all. But another very important thing is to be able to demonstrate the value from the investment, from the platform, from the data products as quickly as possible. And that only is possible through ML/AI solutions, for the most part. There are other ways, but the most visible and most substantial value normally gets from these business solutions that tackles a business process, either to reduce cost or to increase revenue. So always start with showing the value as quickly as possible, and build it iteratively. That doesn't mean that you don't have a North Star, you don't have a vision, but try to build it iteratively, and every step should actually contribute to that North Star. It's really, change is hard. If you try to boil the ocean, it's just not going to happen. People sometimes go and ask for millions of dollars to just migrate to the cloud or build the best platform. And that doesn't work. You have to build it iteratively and opportunistically. Look at enterprise initiatives that are happening and so on and so forth, and establish the role of the enterprise data team or of your team, whatever the team is, and the platform, the one platform that is capable to deliver all these capabilities, but only build those capabilities when they're needed. This actually ties to the third point, which is simplify the technology stack. Only add those gadgets or their pieces of technology when they're needed. One of the things that I've learned is that you just simplify and start simple. Even if you had a complex environment, and we did. Even in the cloud, we had a complex environment with many components and a number of ETL tools and a number of this and that. Simplify it, start simple, and only add the technology pieces as they're needed. Because in that fashion, you're aligning it with business objectives. There is a specific initiative, there's a specific use case that requires this piece of technology. Now you're adding it, but again, with a North Star, with a vision of how the platform and the whole strategy and the state of the data should look like at the end. And you decide your end, whether it's 3 years, whether it's 5 years from now, depending on the complexity and the scope and the scale of your company. Another thing that, so lessons learned is that you have to integrate your analytics and AI with your operation. I think in the past, a lot of us, went through, and maybe some of you have not, just because of age, but a lot of us went through times where it is truly a back office. And even with AI, and even if somebody is running all these algorithms, they're actually getting an insight, they're sharing that insight. In some meeting, a decision is made based on that. Those times are gone. You have to integrate it into the operation and into the ecosystem, be it setting a price on the reservation system or actually embedded within a supply chain system, it has to be integrated. And that gives us a lot more value. It's actually impacting the business better. It's generating business value a lot more than just having it as a standalone system. Yes, we have to fulfill internal and external data sharing. Now, we are going back to data governance and how it overlaps with this platform and how a platform like this could help with data governance. When you are responsible for data sharing, now you have the ability to apply your enterprise data policy, controls, and understanding of who's using the data and when and how, while enabling the business to do whatever they want with the data under its control. Yeah, and change is hard. I think you all know this. Change is hard, and it's really hard for people to leave behind what they've been using for 15, 20 years and adopt a new product, a new process, a new way of doing it, upskilling or reskilling. It's really hard. So invest enough time in actually ensuring that you are, in a way, hand-holding your stakeholders. Evangelization is key. Train your team, all of your team, to become evangelists. You have to talk to people and talk to them often. You yourself have to talk to people, vertically and horizontally in any way possible to ensure that people understand and have the leadership support that they're looking for. Training is key. You have to train people and make them comfortable. Without that, people are really quick to reject new technologies, new processes, and new solutions. Another one is to truly embrace a product mindset. Your MLAI solution may be a product or is a product. Your dashboard is a product, but your data set itself is a product. It has to be treated like that. You're building a product that you're going to continue to nurture and evolve, and you're going to continue to market, and you're going to continue to accept changes to it. It has to evolve too, based on feedback and stakeholders' requirements and things like that. I think that mindset that we had before, where I build the data and it's not going to change, and this and that, that's changing. It has to be a product, and it has to be positioned that way, marketed that way. And you heard the saying, culture eats strategy for breakfast, and it eats technology for lunch. It's true. You can have the best strategy and the best technology, but if you do not consider the culture of the company, you're bound to fail. That doesn't mean that you do not question the status quo or push the status quo, make changes, but the changes have to be done in a way that's in alignment with the company culture. You have to be able to navigate the company culture while rolling out these changes. Otherwise, you will be faced with a lot of pushback. So again, if I want to highlight one thing, it would be the need to have a cohesive strategy, knowing that you want to build ML and AI solutions, but at the same time, you want to transform the business, and you want to build all these foundational aspects step by step. It's not a race, it's definitely a marathon. And you want to consider the culture, because without it, you'll have problems. So that's all we have today. Thank you very much.
Thank you all.
Yeah, appreciate it.